tear. Yeah, you got climber hands. You're strong.
Alright, so how long do you strip stuff? Not hours.
So here's the deal, right? The big thing about tear string. Oh, wait. Do it at the tear.
Okay.
You just go hard. Come on. All right. So our lightest fabric is here. So it's curl on 1,000. It's got an 8 kilo, 17 and a half. That's not bad. But 8 kilo tear string. So go ahead and rip that. Okay. So that's our lightest fabric. That's on our yellow label tents. This, try this. It's a little less slippery, but bad news, it's a little stronger. So this is red label tents, 12 kilo tear string.
Good job.
And then, just because you are so strong, we'll try the 18 kilo. This is our black label fabric that's in this tent here.
You got this climber.
Warm my fingers up. Yeah.
So obviously, the point of this is cool.
Yeah.
This is great. But the point is not, can you rip your tent? It's more about safety and security. If, as humans, we all do dumb things, so we put a trekking pole through the tent, we put a crampon through the tent, wind comes up, hits that hole, it goes like this, and that thing goes, whoop, you gotta go home. In our tents, it doesn't do that. You can stay out. The other bigger piece really is UV light eats tents, eats fabric.
Yep.
So if you're out for 3 weeks on a glacier, if you start with a 3 kilo tear string, at the end of 3 weeks, you're pushing your luck. At the end of 3 weeks with an 18 kilo tear string, you're good.
Yeah.
So that's the big deal for us, and to some degree, that's Hilleberg in a nutshell.
That's a good point. I didn't put the degradation.
Yeah,
UV.
yeah, and that's a huge deal that people forget. We have a lot of polar folk who use our tents routinely, and they're out there. There's no mitigation to that sunlight, and it's direct. So they are very, very thankful for that.
For sure. Yeah, we were using the Alec 3. We were living it out for days at a time.
Yep.
And that's this fabric right here, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. It was perfect.
Yeah. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's a great tent.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
And you guys, what else do you need from us?
Always want to see what's new with you guys.
Okay.
See what's in the pipes for next season or currently working on. And see how we can support you.
Okay, super. Well, I can certainly run you through the new stuff. I'll start. This is the sheet. Hand that off to you. This talks about the new tent.
That guy right there?
That's it. But we're going to start on the back, and we're going to start at the bottom because this is a foundational piece, literally, to that tent. We've used DAC poles for not 20 years, but a long time.
Yeah.
And we've always used DAC poles with wind washes. So when we decided we were going to do a trekking pole tent, we realized we needed trekking poles because we have poles for all our tents.
Yep.
And we all like trekking poles, so we went to DAC. And so we collaborated with DAC. This is his first collaboration outside of Hellenox. This is effectively a Hellenox pole. It's their design, but it's made by DAC.
So you have your own Hilleberg collapsible badass trekking pole.
Correct.
To go into your tents.
Correct.
That's awesome.
And it's not a world-changing trekking pole. It's just a really good trekking pole.
Yes.
It's like 240 grams. It's strong. It's got a lever lock. They call it a lever lock. Like many of the trekking poles have some form of lever lock. This one is inline, so it's a little bit easier to grab this way. You do need a tool to adjust it, but it is double cam, so it's very, very secure.
Wonderful. And how small will it compress?
So 25 inches is the lowest, and that was important. The reason we went with a collapsible pole versus a ring part is that for a few of our models, specifically the Tug 5 or the Mesh Tug 1, it's much easier to pitch it with a short pole in the back, so we wanted that.
Smart.
And on top of that, we wanted something that was durable and rugged enough. We chose aluminum, partly because we know DAC and we know their aluminum is good, and this is actually really strong.
Good. Well, the reason I asked the question is because every one of us here is a backcountry skier, telemarker, or splitboarder. And so we do a lot of missions where we go back and we have our poles that could be put to use.
Yep. Exactly.
So that's
So
cool.
and this one comes with a trekking basket and a rubber tip, or what you would use if it's really rocky.
Sure.
We talked about adding a snow basket. We decided not to because it's the first time we put them out. So kind of see how it goes. But again, it's foundational for the tent, but it's also a good trekking pole. Bo Hilleberg used a prototype of this years ago. He thought it was the best he'd ever used. So it seemed absolutely the right way to go to talk to Dak, and we're very honored that they agreed to do it.
It looks sharp too.
So it's kind of neat. So that's the first piece. The second piece is tarp pole, which is right behind me. And to me, this is one of my favorite things. It's super geeky, but you know, it's actually a lot lighter than it looks.
It is.
I know it looks like this burly, beefy thing, and it actually is burly and beefy, but
Yeah,
it's
you
much
thought like
lighter
heavy,
than you
right?
expect. And it's neat because it's shot corded two-piece, and it goes from 49 to 82 and a half inches.
Well, you got a cook tent right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it comes with our Altai, but it's pretty straightforward. You know, it just does that. Right? So just, and the thing that I love the most is it's got a score mark here that you can feel. So you know how on a lot of the press click, you're like, there's the hole.
Yeah.
This you're like, oh, there's the hole. Right there. So it goes, it goes to here. It'll go to here. Do that put my cat desire. Goes here.
Yeah.
So I just think it's kind of a neat thing. It's also got a reversible tip, so you can use it when the tip is extended. You can use the ring. When it's in here, you can use it with a pocket, like on an Altai, or any pocket situation, any shelter you got. So it's just kind of a neat. I think it's an elegant solution.
Yeah.
And the hardest part was that to find a shot cord that would go from 49 to 82 and still fold and still work.
200% change.
That was, yeah, it was the hard part. And again, this is a collaboration with DAC. And it, you know, it says DAC, Hilleberg got DAC on it. We have a great relationship with them and with Elnox. We do a lot of work with them. We love that. So anyway, that's the second part.
Yeah,
very
feel
cool.
free to put it.
The scores here.
So we just align the score to the holes and
Behind you.
Oh, there we go. Now it's in line.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more
That's
sense.
lined up.
And then okay, there we go.
and I haven't tried it yet, but my guess is that if it's not a super thick glove, you can feel it through the glove.
Right, yeah, it definitely has texture right there.
Yeah.
It makes sense that that's in line with the holes right there.
And the Altai, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen or used the Altai. They're kind of pitching that to a lot of different groups like you and journalists like you,
Yeah.
because it's a little bit out of the box as a backpacking tent. But you know, here's a yurt style thing. It'll sleep 6. It'll seat 12, full sitting height, full standing height in the center, and the guts of it, just the fabric, is 5 pounds. So if you've got 8 people wandered around in the woods and it's raining, it's great to set it up, and then you can go in, cook, hang out, and you don't have to be huddled in your tent going, okay, waiting for morning.
That's us right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what we do.
it's
Yeah,
great.
and exactly. And we designed it originally to go with us on our backcountry ski tours.
Yeah.
And we use it in our we do courses, and we use it in our courses routinely. And I've used it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really cool. We hang out a lot of guides, like we have 2 new riders who are guides as well.
Yeah.
And so always looking for a solution to get people out of the elements.
Exactly.
Go with missions
And that's what
stuff.
this is.
Yeah.
And this, the interesting thing about this is if you're on skis or split boarding, you'd have to rig something for a center pole, but you
Yeah.
can use a ski as a center pole. That's what it's designed for. And then your poles around the outside. And it is, you know, it's definitely not designed to stand up to side winds of 100 miles an hour.
Sure.
But it stands up to pretty serious winds. The first time we used it, we had a storm coming in and we hadn't used it in that kind of weather. We were like, it's fun.
That's really nice. That's
Yeah,
really
it can be
cool.
opened up.
Oh,
See
cool.
also.
So you can use a half shelter. Yeah, it's
No for wow.
Yeah. We have a couple riders going on some big missions. One to Denali, one back to Krzakis.
okay.
Yeah. And they spent a lot of time in yurts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yurts are cool, and you know we did this because everybody's using TVs.
Yeah.
That's great, except you know, you're sitting like
Yeah, you
this.
lose a lot of space.
So this is no heavier,
Yeah.
but it's a lot more useful. And there is an inner tent and a floor for it. We have people who use it as a tent because it does sleep 6.
We have a bow hunter as well. He's a tarp camper.
Yep.
So I can imagine if we had this crew of 3 people, this would be like luxurious.
Oh, it is. And it's funny, you know, you're talking about, we just had this conversation about tarp campers. And one of the reasons that we have come not to tarp campers is because of climate change-driven ticks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because even in Washington now, we have ticks, which we didn't have for a long time.
Oh wow.
And, you know, in some areas, if you're in the East Coast or certain areas in the Midwest, you can wake up and all the ticks are on your stomach. So, I want a floor, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I camp with dogs, and if I had a tarp, a dog would just sneak it under the tarp and gone.
So, but again, it's just something that I talk about because I think the Altai is a really cool solution that isn't talked about enough.
No, I agree. It wasn't on my radar at all.
So
We have a couple of TP and tarps that we've had in our rotation, and that's the way it's been.
Yeah.
We haven't talked much outside of that.
yeah, so you know that's something that we talked to Kathy about.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that brings us to kind of another iconic design, yurt inspired, and the Ridge tent. And that's the new tent for us, the Honorous. The Genesis is actually kind of cool. Our first tent ever was the Keb, named for Eliza, big mountain we went to. And it was the first tent with connected inner and outer. It was also the first Hilleberg tent. Bo Hilleberg did a Ridge for two reasons. One, in 1973, the technology for shock-coated poles, and specifically aluminum, wasn't really there yet. And the Ridge was a better solution. Also, it's easier to sew, it's easier to produce. Worked just great, we loved it. Used it for years, stayed in the line. It was supplanted by the first Honorous, which is in the line from mid-80s-ish to mid-90s-ish. It was available in a 2, 3, and 4 person. And I had a conversation with Bo the other day. I said, you know, Ridge tents are kind of part of what we do. He goes, no, we do tunnel and dome tents. Okay, so we did the Keb. And we had the Honorous for what? Not 10 years, but close. And then we did the Muddus, which was a military-inspired project that we had done with the Swedish military that connected pieces together to make a ridge. We brought that into the line. We did that for a few years. And we did the Ride, which was an ultralight, single-wall ridge shelter.
Oh, interesting.
So we've had, you know, we've had a ridge pretty much throughout the line. And I said that to him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I guess you're right. I guess we'll always have a ridge tent in the line." So. But what we did is we took all our experience and we keep reinventing what we know about ridge tents. And this time we realized ridge is perfect for 3-season, snow-free use.
Yeah.
So why not take our best fabrics and make the ridge that's a Hilleberg ridge tent for that use? And that's what we came up with. So this is the Honorous. 3 pounds, 1 ounce, $595. Set up with trekking poles, can also suspend the ridge line.
Okay, cool.
So that's kind of cool. You can use sticks, you can use anything as long as you can get that stretch at 125 to 130 centimeters. It will accommodate other trekking poles, not just ours.
Makes sense. I use 125 myself
Yeah.
for touring. So yeah, that's cool to know it fit with that.
And depending on what you do, you know, we all went to tunnel tents and dome tents because convenient. They're more structured and more flexible. They don't have such problems with uneven ground. Ridge tents, I remember growing up with them, you know, you got to futz a little. But there's kind of a cool nostalgia piece of I'm being simple, I'm being old school.
Yeah.
And so you will have to change a little bit, you know, how you set it up if it's on uneven ground. So that's why we say 125 to 130, could be higher, could be lower, depending on how you get the best stretch.
Makes sense. And I like, if I've seen this correctly, you have an elevated bedroom right here.
Correct. And this setup is this setup here. This one has the vestibules rolled back. This one has the vestibules deployed. But it's the same setup. The next step then, we supply the guy lines that you see. So we supply those. They come with the tent. So you disconnect. There's a red ring there that goes to that red toggle. So you disconnect, connect the guy line here, guy it out. Right? Once you do that, you flip that back, it just loops right onto the peg points here, and you've got a half roll tent, nice shelter. You can then roll the whole thing up, and you get this. Right? So you can roll both sides up on top, and then secure it. And the neat thing is you can use the tent bag and the peg bag to secure it. So we would recommend that you take a piece of guy line to do it, but you could do it. So that's kind of cool. And then that gives you full breathability all around. And if it starts raining, you can climb out, drop the sides, reconnect, and you're good. That's cool. So that's kind of the gist of it. we should take a look at this one because this one will give you a better sense of what the tent actually looks like.
Sure.
So. So this is with, that side, the vestibules are obviously down. These are fully rolled. We purposely put two rectangular pads in. They're regular, they're not large, they're regular. Just to show people without getting in how big it is. But I would urge you to get in. It's actually roomier than it looks.
Do you mind if I do?
Absolutely, go right ahead. And as you notice, right, you can see that there is head space.
There's a lot of headroom, guys. Look at that. That's very nice.
And for me, I look at this and I say, okay, it's 3 pounds. I can take an Acto, which is about 3 pounds. Great solo shelter. I can take an Anon, which is 2 and a bit pounds. Or I can take this, because I use trekking poles, and I get my pack smaller because I don't have holes.
Right.
And for me, it's going to be a palace. I can roll it up, I can do whatever I want.
I had like headroom past my head, and I'm 6'1". It's hard for me to get headroom.
Exactly. So it's funny, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, it's roomy. You get in, you go,
It's very roomy.
it's really interesting. So it's super versatile. The big selling point for us, obviously, is that it's a Hilleberg. It's a Hilleberg yellow label tent, 70 denier floor. It has our woven mesh here. It has our inner tent fabric. All of the features and all of the details that make a Hilleberg tent are here.
Yeah.
It's just a ridge tent. We've got nearly 50 years of making ridge tents, so it's not like we're just doing this out of our butts.
Right.
We know what we're doing with it. And it's really, I had someone ask me, so, I'm trying to wrap my head around, what is it? It's not ultralight, and it's not. We're not trying to be ultralight.
No.
It's a Hilleberg ridge tent. And it's for the guy who's like, I want something that's durable, simple, light.
Well, it's really cool to see it because, people who buy your tents know what they are, and they buy them for a reason.
Exactly.
And now you're bringing back something you've done so well before, and a great presentation, and your own poles. How cool is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited. Well, thank you for taking the time to share this. It's really cool. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that was great. You get in the tent part too?
What else are you going to do?
Nice. It's actually huge there. You want to try it out?
Yeah, it's pretty nifty.
We only got an hour.
There are some tweaks that are still happening to it. This has got a pre-production sample. We're trying to figure out how to get all the tweaks in our production schedule. So in terms of having stuff that's like to try, we're looking at polish, but it's going to release in spring 2020.
Oh, great. We can definitely see it go in the fall.
Yeah.
The video, so it's ahead of the
Stretch in the morning.
That's our goal.
That's our goal.
And it won't look any different. There's just some internal things we're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like huge.
Yeah.
I can stretch in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Do all my stretches. I'll be sore the next morning.
No. And if you travel with a big dog, this is great.
Yeah, too.
Right? And you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm impressed.
So it's been a great, fun project.
Anything
because
like cheese.
there's all this history piece. This was Bo's first tent. So when he was involved with it, he was really involved because it brings back all the memories of him doing what he did first. And then the constructor, Joel, who was just here, he left this morning, he got to work with Bo very closely, and they really came up with a great thing here. So it's super cool.
I've tested a lot of tents in this genre, but I've never seen like the little details, like this sock in here. I mean, little things like that. That's a notable difference.
It is, and it's funny. We did that. I was there when they were doing some of the development. We were testing it, and we had it in the wind machine. We put the snow gun. And what we do is we take the tent, set it up in the wind machine to make sure you can.
Yeah.
Because no matter how strong your tent is, if you can't set it up in the wind, that's pretty close. So then we leave it there for about 8 hours. And the earlier prototypes with lighter stuff slipped more than we were willing to accept. So Joel and Bo came up with this. And yes, it's early, yes, it's overbuilt, but now it'll stand in the wind machine for 8 hours.
It's overbuilt, but it's built because it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal for us.
That's awesome. Cool. Stuart, thanks for your time, man.
Very welcome.
A lot of really cool stuff.
Good.
Really impressed.
And